Welcome to the Concrete Podcast, where we bring together the people who design it, produce it, place it, and build with it every day. Our goal is simple: to unify the concrete industry by sharing real conversations about materials, methods, and the challenges we're all working to solve. From ready-mix producers, contractors, engineers, researchers, and innovators, this podcast is about learning from each other and pushing our industry forward. Hey, welcome back to all my fans out there. This is the Concrete Podcast, and today I'm very excited.
Yes, we are.
I have one of my own here today, all the way from Colorado. Everyone knows I love my finishers. I'd like to welcome Bryce Thoutt to the podcast today.
Welcome, Bryce.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Have you.
Yeah.
It's good to have you.
So, Bryce, we're going to start off with a little background question. So, today, just give the audience a little bit of background, how you got into the industry and how your guys' company started.
Yeah. So my grandfather started it in 1961. I'm third generation. So when he started in the 60s, my father, Don, he's currently our president, took it over. He's been running it, leading it for us since the 90s or so. And kind of started there. We're family owned, family business. We have plenty of employees that have worked for us for 20 plus years, and we really like to keep it that way. Enjoy the place to work and put down some good concrete.
So you and I have a lot in common.
Third
generation concrete finishers, father, grandfather. Tell me, was your mornings a lot like mine when I was a kid? Like I got drug out of bed to go to work, or
Sometimes on Saturdays before I was out of school, we go to the job sites. We called it work sometimes. But it was a good experience.
It was mandatory.
I was more free labor when I was young out there.
Yeah. So did you have a choice? Were you brought up to...
I don't remember, so I don't think I had a choice. So if I don't remember choosing, probably not.
Probably not.
Yep.
No choice at all.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So how many brothers?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and they all work at our company as well, including my 2 brother-in-laws. So we are really keeping it in the family.
So what's your role in the company?
Right now I'm the vice president of our company, and my role is to oversee pretty much all of our daily operations, scheduling, estimating, keeping our guys trained and skilled in what they're performing.
Is it hard to find talent these days?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Good talent is hard to find. When you find good guys, you want to keep them.
Young, old. I mean, I know that, in our experience, the older generation is kind of retiring out of the industry. I mean, are you finding the same out west in Colorado?
Yeah. I mean, concrete guys don't retire until they're forced to.
Right.
But
Or
yes,
their body breaks.
eventually they can't work anymore, and the older generation is starting to change over. Young guys that come in to work, usually if they make it a couple weeks, they're going to stick around. Once you get to that couple days, they don't show up anymore. It's pretty tough. It's easy to watch a video of concrete and think that looks pretty easy. Yeah. Then you go out for a day or two and realize muscles hurt that never hurt before, and waking up every morning to go do it is not a fun thing always. So yeah, it's definitely turning over, and our young guys are coming through right now. We have good flow of guys at least that are sticking around.
That's good.
So coming up through a family business, as some of my challenges was culture. My dad had a mentality. My grandfather had a mentality. Has it been an easy transfer of culture? I'm sure
From generation to generation.
Generation to generation.
We made it. So that part was easy. Yes. But no, we've had plenty of disagreements, we could call them, on the way we should do things, how we want to do it. Obviously, technology is a big blockade for many generational companies, because there's a way that it was done, and then new technology comes out, whether it's in the industry or even just our accounting softwares, processes that we can implement. So it's been a struggle through each generation, changing over how we do things and what works. But luckily, we've always had, our family has been understanding enough to accept the technology eventually. It takes a little time and pushing.
Adoption.
But once we get into it, everyone accepts it. There's no more pushback, and we move on. And we've implemented some pretty good.
So this is more of a statement than a question. I'm probably going to say that the concrete issues your grandfather experienced are the same ones we're almost facing today.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's differences in why they're appearing, but there's definitely the same issues. I mean, concrete cracks. That's a big one that hasn't been solved. So
Right.
it's going to continue to
I
keep
mean,
happening.
and as my grandfather come up in a world of, there wasn't very many chemicals. And then my dad got introduced to what we call the SCM, supplementary cementitious material age. And then I experienced coming out of wet cure into curing compounds and then into no cure most of the time because of schedules. So is that maybe the same experience that your family has went through as well in that area?
Sort of. Wet curing in Colorado, at least from when I've been around, hasn't been huge. I mean, there's big warehouse slabs are still wet cured or have been recently, but Colorado is so dry that, in my opinion, at least now looking at it, if you're wet curing, you're too late in Colorado because you already lost the cure time that you needed. So wet cure wasn't and isn't a huge curing method in Colorado. That still happens. Some specifications want it, but it's always been the spray on, white cure, clear cure, different types of cures that are specified. And I mean, I think if you went down to people starting in concrete, they don't understand cure. They think it's paint or why are we doing this? And that's obviously a big issue, is not understanding and then not really knowing what you're doing with that cure.
Yeah,
and
the
timing of
the
it.
care that goes into that timing and
Exactly.
the square footage per gallon or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said something that's got my mind going this direction. Wet cure's hard to do, not hard to do, but if you wet cure in Colorado because of the dryness, you're already too late.
Yes.
Would that same principle apply for curing compounds?
Exactly. Yes. You just have the ability to spray them sooner than you would a wet cure without damaging a slab or exterior concrete, whatever you're placing. But exact same thinking. Timing is big on curing for sure.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking these questions is because some of my audience has a different opinion than I do about curing.
There's a curing debate.
There is a
Right?
strong curing
Right.
debate.
We have kind of started this conversation
Yes.
as what is curing? Is curing topical, integral? What is actually curing? Can concrete cure itself, or does it take human manipulation to actually cure concrete? Right. And so that was the
Correct. So hearing from your geographical area, dry, probably
be
windy,
certainly-
Yes.
you're losing moisture quickly, fast.
Yes.
And before you can actually get to a traditional type ACI 308 type of cure, it's all about timing. And that window of timing is probably what? Minuscule?
Very small. I mean, when we do spray cures on our concrete, I tell my guys, you broom it or you trowel it, whatever the last thing you do is, I want the cure on it immediately. There is no waiting around. So that's what we preach. That's what I want done, because I want my concrete to have the best chance it can to survive the warranty, but survive for the entirety of the owner, 30s, 40 years, whatever the lifespan is that they designed it for.
Now, looking back, how long have you now been working in the family industry?
It's 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
So in your 20-year experience, you've seen some changes in your life. So from when you started to where you're at now, what do you consider the biggest change?
My position in the company. That is the biggest change. I started as a laborer, and I am proud of going out there and shoveling dirt and then learning to pour it, finish the concrete, run a crew, project manage, estimate, and then get to obviously leadership role here. As far as the job sites go, it's different materials. For the most part, pouring a slab is the same. You do the same kind of processes you're going to do when you were pouring it 20 years ago till now. We have nicer equipment. I mean, we have some pretty cool laser screeds that make the work a lot easier. But I think the biggest change would be the availability of knowledge that we have the potential to share on job sites now, real time. If you prepare for the job, you can have your plans, your specifications, your sequencing on a tablet or a phone that most people across that job site can look at while you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Back even 5 years into my career when I was managing a job, we'd write a change order for a job, and it was on a 3-piece carbon copy ticket. So you would write up adding 50 square feet of sidewalk to this job because the GC tore it out for a pipe that needs to go in.
Yeah.
And then you have to call the office and get the price off the contract, or write it up, go get a signature, drive it into the office to write the change order. And now it's just a tablet. We have a program that we can use, and you just type it up, they sign it on your tablet, send it in. Real-time technology and knowledge is the biggest change in that 20 years.
So efficiencies, with technology, with machines, with application. Obviously, on the backside of efficiencies and positive things, there's obviously some of the challenges that we all discuss on a daily basis. Materials. Talk about some of maybe the biggest challenges that you've seen over 20 years that probably aren't associated with the machines or the technologies that we're using, but more the infield type challenges, materials and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, the materials changing. There's been a lot of change in specifically concrete materials in the last 20 years. Even when I was first coming into it, it was a lot less chemical. It got heavy chemical, and now we're even mixing in different fly ashes, different cements. So the materials have changed a lot, which just makes all of our job a little more complicated. And the complication isn't necessarily the change. It's similar to how I talked about the technology. Once you get it in and people adopt it, you can make it work. And then you can even like it maybe in some cases. But it takes time and communication to know what you're placing, how it's going to react. If you just give me a certain mix and I have no idea what it is, how am I going to tell our finishers how to finish it, what they need to look for? Things, do you need to wait to get on a slab? Do you need to get out sooner based on strengths or set times, bleed water? There's a lot of changes in the material that have thus changed the way you need to finish, not an aspect of if you want to float concrete, it's the same thing still, but it's the timing and focus that you need to really pay attention to the details. The details have become the important, it's the core now, is the details to make sure you're going to put down good quality concrete that looks good and will perform.
Yeah.
So we all know that this is an E5 podcast. Yeah. So I am curious on the problems you were having and how you got introduced to E5. Because if, like me, I'm very skeptical. And even when I got introduced to this technology 10 years ago, I was highly skeptical. Now, I was having issues with my concrete. Most of it was water issues. And that is one of our main slogans here at E5. Water's why. Water's why we're in a lot of meetings. We either had too much or not enough. That's why we're arguing. Water's why. We've never been able to control water within concrete until now. Well, 10 years ago when they brung this to me and said, hey, you need to try this, I was like, no. What made you first? Was it brung to you as a solution, or was you even having problems? And how did it get to you?
And why?
Yes. I mean, if you're pouring concrete for long enough, you've had a problem. There's no way to get around that. If you've poured concrete for years and you've never had a problem, then I need to meet you. So yes, there's been problems. There always has been. But our one of our ready mix suppliers in Colorado, Brandon Ready Mix, called me up one day and said, "Hey, there's this new
shout out to Brandon, by the way.
Brandon. There's this new product. It's called E5 Internal Cure, and they kind of told me it can replace your white pig." It's like, okay, and that's all I knew about it. They asked if they could come in with one of your engineers, Bobby Cavallero, and
thank you, Bobby,
do a presentation for us. So they came in. I had a few of my project managers, my estimator sit in. Bobby gave us a presentation. It was interesting. It was very good. If everything that he said would happen, we were happy with that, but still skeptical. I mean, we're concrete guys, so we looked at it and said, yeah, it looks cool. It seems like it does something, but how are we going to know? We don't know. They have this research, they have this data. Somebody has backed it. Doctors have backed it. Our engineers have. So maybe we should give it a try. We sat around for about a month, not trying it. Salesman kept reaching out to me, and I said, you know what? I have this alley. It's private for a subdivision. Let me call that owner and just see if he's good at trying it out on this alley. And he said yes. I mean, he didn't want to pay for it, so I paid for it. But we tried it out, and it was a it was a windy day. It's up on a foothill where this pour was at. It was windy, which a lot of days in Colorado are dry and not ideal concrete pouring temperatures or weather. But in Colorado, we have a lot of non-ideal days that we had to pour in. So we poured it. The guys liked the finishability. It came out. They finished it. We didn't have to use any kind of finishing aid on top. They just both loaded it, broomed it. We cut the joints. Good day. No cracks, nothing. I think we placed about 100 yards that day in that alley. And then we kind of said, okay, let's wait and see. Let's see, give us some time. Let's see if we need to wait and see if this actually works. If it doesn't, what's kind of our timeline in this? So we didn't pour again until the following year. We used it, and really that's not long enough to say, hey, this did something besides the finishability. The finishability was there. I mean, there's no questioning. When you poured that concrete, it was easier to finish.
So let me ask you a question. The day you poured,
yes.
Is it a typical process in Colorado that you would typically use a evaporation retarder, or you would use a finishing aid, no matter, just because it's Colorado?
I wouldn't say no matter what, but it's a nice business that happens in Colorado. Yes, finishing aids and evaporation rates. Yes,
so was that for you not to use it that day? Was that kind of like interesting?
Without any cracking happening, yes. I mean, because they would get a lot of plastic shrinkage cracking on the surface if you don't have something on top of there as far as evaporation or a finishing aid. So yeah, that was definitely nice to see. Sometimes in concrete you get lucky too, though. So that's why we waited and we said, did it do something or did we get lucky? You get lucky sometimes.
So what season was this that you poured that alley?
This is October.
Okay,
October,
so coming into winter.
Yep.
And then you played it out for 12 months?
It was about 5. It was March the next year that we had gone back to it. And the reason was, nothing's happened bad. So maybe we should give it a try and see if it's going to work long term. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to buy it and it does nothing. So we just wasted X amount of money per yard. And, if that's the worst thing that happens, sometimes you got to take chances that you do that in. And so we started using the product in Aurora, Colorado. They have allowed us to use it without getting approval on every job. They say in Aurora, you can use it in a right away.
And is this city?
Yes, city, just east of Denver.
Okay.
And so we did a few subdivisions with it, and our guys liked it. I've been out to the jobs watching it poured through our curb machines. We own power curbers, 6 of them, 5 now. We traded one in. We have 5 power curbers. So we pour a lot of curb and gutter in Denver, and the way it went through the machine and was able to stand up just helped us with slump retention as well. And the standing up, I mean, you can look at a mix with internal cure in it and it looks wet, but you pull a slump on it and it's not wet. So
what are those slumps? Like super low water cement ratio with those curb?
Yeah, they're lower water cement ratio. They're dry. I mean, we order a 1 to 1.5 inch slump on those things. So they come out dry. They look like rocks sometimes.
Yeah.
With the internal cure in it, it looks a little creamier, which is nice. Our guys, even when they first saw it, like, that's not going to stand up in the machine. Just sit there and wait for it to dry. I was like, no, let's try it. So we started putting it through, and it was standing up when it was coming out. It was nice and finished on there. So the advantage again was initially right away we know it's doing something for us because the finishability, the slump, being able to get a truck and the supplier hopefully control that a little more for us helps, because when it does show up wet, my crew just stand there waiting for it to dry to put it through our machine because it won't stand up.
Yeah.
And if it shows up too dry, then we're in charge of putting water in, which I don't love. And either we don't get enough in or we get too much in.
And then you are waiting.
And then you're waiting again. So it was helpful to be able to improve efficiency in pour times. I mean, trucks were showing up, we were pouring them out, and you could pour them a little faster because the drum will spin, but you still have an unload time, discharge time. And when it's that dry mix, it's slow. It takes a little longer for it to come out of there than if you have a wetter mix. So when it's creamier and flowing out, we're cutting our pour times down. I mean, we had a couple trucks we'd pour in 7 or 8 minutes, 200 feet of curb.
Oh, wow.
And originally that would be closer to 12 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Production uptick.
So, yes.
So not only does it help you and your finishers, but also the ready mix plant, right? That
Correct.
is churning trucks back and forth. They don't have to wait.
Yep. Definitely.
And ready mix plants are really logistic. They're logistic. I mean, that's what they do. They manage trucks all day long. Faster they get one in, sooner they can get another one out.
Yeah, the more loads coming in and out, they're making more money, which is good for them.
Which is a testament, because what you're describing is what I've heard from many people using power curbers or you're using barrier walls. They would say the same thing. That's not going to stand. It looks wet, but then again, it stands. And it's like, yeah. Well, a lot of people will say, well, it's just a rheology modifier or it's a VMA. It is the farthest thing from a VMA. When you're actually utilizing the water internally to act as a VMA, all we're doing is keeping the water in place so it stays in place. So when you were seeing that production increase over time, was you able to reduce your crew size or just keep them the same and just move faster?
Yeah, we kept the crew size the same. We like to put production down, so we didn't want to mess with our crew size. They get along well, and it works well for us the way they're set up. But we were able to change our spacing in trucks. So an order that normally do 25 to 30 minute spacing on, because we're dumping them at, let's say, 15 to 18 minutes like we were, and you don't want to put them right on top of each other because you got to test it. We got to back it up to the machine. So we cut those down to 10 minutes off of that, 20 minutes. Some of them we got down to 15 minutes on certain jobs, nice straight runs or a little bigger molds. We were able to cut some spacing down to 15 minutes. So we could either increase production for the day or decrease hours, depending on the job size and the schedule of what we were trying to get done.
Right. So you can manipulate that how you saw fit as a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And like with most, we'll have shows like this, or we'll be talking about this, and most people talk about the goods. I always like to talk about, hey, there's problems no matter what products you use. What problems have you experienced using nanoparticles in concrete?
None that I know of. I mean, there's nothing that comes to mind that's a problem. I know one of our suppliers would complain about some air loss issues, but that's more common in any concrete. So I don't think it's attributable to what we put in it. But yeah, no, there's not anything negative that I've seen in finished product. Warranty work we've gone back and looked at. Testing, I haven't seen anything that would tell me there's a negative to it.
So how long ago was the alley poured? Was it last October?
October of 2023.
Okay. So
It's coming up 2.5 years almost.
Okay. Still looking good?
Still good.
All right. Well, that's
so after your curb job and after you seen that curb placement, did you just start piece by piece, just putting it in just certain projects? When did you decide, it's like, this is just better for us, our company, and just the way we do business?
Yeah, shortly after that, we decided, we're going to start putting it in anywhere that will allow us to. We tried to sell it on a lot of them. So we go to the owner or the GC and say, hey, here's this product. We like it. We think it's doing good. It's going to help our long-term concrete. Will you pay for it? And that didn't get far on a lot of jobs. But as a company, we had decided we believe in what it's doing. And like I said at the start, at worst case, it does nothing, then we're still at the same spot. We got to try and always innovate. We can't just stand still. So we started adding it to anywhere that would approve it. Bobby, who's from Denver, like we said, he helped us along that, getting people to buy in and approve it. He speaks to the product very well. So that definitely helped us get it in. And we would just start adding it anywhere. Where we started was anywhere that touched a roadway that was going to have freeze thaw cycles and de-icers. That's kind of where we started at. And that was just purely because we know scaling is a major problem in Denver, especially. I'm not sure about other parts of the country, but it's tough in Denver.
Yeah, you guys use a whole different type of concoctions on your road for ice melt and that. You guys even, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you guys even like salt the roads even in the spring and summer? I hear I heard this
brine or
brine or something.
liquids.
Not so much in the summer.
Mountain stuff.
Yeah. They'll pre-treat the roads a lot of times. So if they think a storm's coming in, they'll go out and just douse them with all the chemicals before the snow even comes. And sometimes it never comes. The weather's very unpredictable in Denver. So, and sometimes it snows a foot when this hits.
Right, I'll ask a $1 million question. How have you went back lately and seen some of the areas you poured where the de-icing salt is, and what is that outcome right now? What does it look like?
So in areas where we use the E5, we don't have any scaling. I haven't had one call for scaling where we used E5 internal cure. And people might say, well, okay, you did everything right. That's not the internal cure working. But
Right. It's all you guys. Testament to the finishers.
in March of 2025, March and April, we were pouring a main roadway for Adams County, which is right next to Denver. And we had presented them, hey, we want to use this internal cure. And they told me yes. So we poured one day, 100 yards, combo curb, has the curb and gutter and the sidewalk attached to it, 100 yards. The next morning, the inspector came out and said, we loved it. It looked good. But our engineering office, they don't want to change what we're doing. So go back to the normal, mixed, no A5 internal cure.
Fantastic.
We poured 6 more days in a row,
Yep.
100 yards every day. We went back for the 1-year warranty last year. Every single part of that road that touches the curb and gutter from the flow line out to the street and about a foot on top of that sidewalk has scaling, except the one day with the E5. It looks phenomenal.
That's crazy.
So we had the one case study of here, we put this down and then we poured the subsequent days. It wasn't like we waited 3 months and then poured, or we poured the other stuff
Similar
throughout the course. It was all
materials, everything.
same time of year, same materials.
Ratio.
Only difference was the internal cure, and we tore.
And
none
this
of
was
it.
with the new
Wait.
changeover?
He said what? You tore it out?
Well, we had to. I mean, the stuff we had the internal cure and we did not tear out.
Right.
The stuff that did not have it, we pushed back on Adams County and said, "Hey, we asked to use this product. You said no." And so, since it was going to end up being their money, we didn't tear it out either, but we did do some patching to cover the scaling up.
Okay.
So we worked out a deal.
Yes. Well, that's always nice to work.
And this is with 1L Cements.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Should we go there?
Well, you know me. It's my favorite topic. Is the 1L Cements.
What do you think about 1L Cements, Bryce?
I think that the way it was rolled out was impossible for concrete finishers to deal with because there was no communication. We never knew there was a change in cement. We were just pouring normal. And then we started seeing issues pop up, day of cracking, early age. Later on, more scaling than we're used to just because of the softer surface that we're getting out of the added limestone. And we didn't know at the time what it was from. I mean, do we really not have good quality control? Right. Is there something wrong with the mix?
Were you roundtabling this stuff and saying, guys, what are we doing different?
We were trying to figure it out because it wasn't every yard of concrete. So we weren't going under, but it was something's wrong and we need to figure out what it is before it's too late. And so the biggest problem with 1L is just the communication. I mean, it was from cement to the supplier. It was told 1-to-1, just put it in there. No one will notice. We'll get our strength still. And then so the supplier did the same thing and didn't tell us, the customer who's buying it and placing it and finishing it until months into this process. So like anything, a new product has its differences. It wasn't it was a 1-to-1 for strength. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
But it wasn't a 1-to-1 for finishability, performance on the surface, especially anything like that. It was not 1-for-1, not even close. And we
ain't that the truth.
We had to find out by asking all these questions. I mean, no one wanted to come to us and tell us that this is what it was until we pushed back hard enough and we found out.
And let's talk through that. So you push back on whom?
All of our suppliers. Yeah,
okay.
We used 3 main suppliers, and we had to ask a lot of questions like, what's going on, what's the differences, and then we found out. Said, okay, well, what do we need to do to finish it?
How do we compensate?
In our case, I ended up hiring a third-party engineer, CTL Thompson, a local guy from there that helped us kind of navigate some ideas and get through some jobs so we could hit schedules. I mean, we're contracted, so we can't just say, time out, let's wait a month to pour again.
No.
We need to pour every day. So we hired him. He did some studies on some batch tickets that we sent. He sent me a letter. The initial idea was, well, we need to accelerate the concrete because the limestone is holding back
slow
on early age strength. Your top is setting, especially in Colorado with our dry and wind, top is setting faster, which is normal, but faster compared to the bottom is doing nothing for the early age. And we were getting that early age shrinkage cracking. So he gave us those suggestions. He outlined the best practices of, like I was saying at the start, detail. So best practices 10 years ago are still best practices today in finishing, but they're amplified. So when you finish, you need to be everything is exactly what needs to happen. There's no forgiveness. Your window is tight, and you need to do it correctly, or you're going to have problems. So that's where we started with the 1L.
That's fascinating.
Not only are you fighting low humidity, wind, you're now fighting a new product
Material.
that is now, we used to have a field goal this wide, and it used to be at the 10-yard line. Now we're going to back up to the 50 and punt it through a 3-foot field goal, is what you're explaining.
That's about it, yes.
And as I've tried to educate finishers, finishing has always been about timing from the very get-go. And once you learn the timing, processes become very easy. Learn the material, learn the timing, everything gets a lot easier. 1L comes in, there was no education on timing. So that timing we were so used to, indoctrinated with, almost in our DNA, is now gone. And now we have to learn a whole nother timing of finish.
Sequence, yeah.
But then on top of that, as you said, the consultant said to put an accelerator in. I was taught that when I was about 18 years old. And I was griping about the cement changes because I was being introduced to fly ash and slag and all that when I was 19.
Which would slow.
It slows the set time down. And, you know, and it's 90 degrees outside, and what's my local ready mix guy go, put retarder in if it's setting too fast at the top. Well, I didn't know. Okay. It got worse.
Right.
It ripped worse.
The jelly donut.
And then, you know, I talked to an old timer. I said, man, dude, I cannot get away. He goes, Joe, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I suggest you put 2% calcium in it.
Kick it.
At 90 degrees. He goes, yeah, trust me. It will not do that again.
Yep.
You might work a little bit harder, but you won't have the jelly finish. Your plastic shrinkage cracks will go away because your bottom's now setting up with your top. You know what? The old man was right, and I've done it ever since. And I even went to the extreme in hot weather, is that I learned that water reducers were having that same effect in the hot weather. Yeah, we got the low water cement ratios, we need workability, but those things only have a pot life when it's hot. When those wear off, we get that same thing. So I always would sub out a little bit of the water reducer for a little bit of non-calcium chloride or an accelerator to get that up and above.
Get the kick.
There's so many tricks, but with that said, as you experience the 1L problems,
Challenges.
and I've said this, it's problems, and I've said this a million times, I am not against 1L. I'm with you. It was a lack of education. No one, but then what I get aggravated is guys like me and you that's out there trying to make a living are paying for their research. It's coming out on our dime. You don't see them coming up to you at the job site and say, hey, man, I know you had a bad day. Let me take care of it. Oh, no. All I see is their stocks keep going right on up. It's just flying right up while I'm out there paying for it. You're out there paying for it.
We're making adjustments
I'm
for the
okay
business.
if you're honest with me. Just
Right.
tell me. I can adjust. I'm a concrete finisher. I can move things around. But if you're not transparent or communicating, then we have issues.
We're all going to fail. This consultant that you guys found, I'm interested to know, you know, how you found him. Did you already know that this company, CTL, obviously they're national, were familiar with the material change? I mean, how did you get turned on to them, and then how did you trust, you know, their findings?
Yeah, no, it's an engineer that we had worked with before. He, whenever we would have a major problem on a job, something that we were kind of like, why did this happen? We would call him. I mean, I worked with him several times before this, and sometimes he comes down and says, you know, this is probably because you did something wrong. Or sometimes he'd look at it and he'd have ideas that I didn't even think of looking at it. You know, why is it spalling only in one straight line?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I came out one day when after it snowed, and the ice, it sits right there on that line. So I think that's what the problem is. So he's someone we had known for a while.
Yeah, trusted.
He was an older gentleman, retired now, but very down-to-earth engineer. You want an engineer that's going to go out there and understand the engineer side of it. They went to school, they got their stamp, they know that, but also understands the placement and the work of placing concrete, not just I look in a lab
smart.
and, you know, the wind in a lab is 0 miles an hour every single day.
Amen.
So
Humidity's perfect. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
you want someone that's going to understand what actually could have happened or did happen. And from our end, it's always been about that. We want to know why it happened, good or bad. I mean, we want to know.
Let's fix it.
It's not, I want to hire someone to win. I want to hire someone to win later by knowing what we did and not do that again. Whether it's us, our supplier, GC forcing us to do something schedule wise. I mean, we want to know what the answer is so we can last another 65 years.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when you were having some of these 1L issues, were you incorporating E5 at the same time and you were trying to work all those problems out, or were these more isolated without it?
They started without it because we didn't start using E5 till the end of 2023, heavier in 2024. And the 1L transition started happening in 2022 in the Denver market. So we were about a year into the 1L issues when we started using the internal cure. So it wasn't something we necessarily said we're going to fix 1L with the internal cure, but it was just a bolt on.
So is it more, did you see more of a decrease? More, I guess the question I'm getting ready to, the question I'm asking, did the concrete become more reliable, more repeatable when you started to add nanoparticles or the internal cure into it? Did it seem to balance things out a little better? No, it's not going to fix everything, but did it start to balance things out?
Yeah, by that time we started using it, the suppliers already started making adjustments. The cement vendors made adjustments, whether it's the fineness they ground the limestone to, the amount they added in. I mean, we started with 12 to 13% on some mixes, and now they're down to 10. So at the time we started using E5, they had already started making their adjustments, which was helpful pouring and finishability wise. They got better at that by the time we started using E5, but it didn't do anything for the long-term effects. I mean, we were still seeing softer surfaces, more scaling, just because the surface was softer, is more susceptible to their freeze-thaw cycles. And in Colorado, we have a lot of them. So people think it's cold there all the time. It's not. It's we have 50-degree temperature swings in one day sometimes. So it didn't do anything for that, but the E5 internal cure did start showing us the long-term impacts of a denser surface, not having abrasion issues, scrapes from loaders coming across it, just building houses. I mean, stuff that's normal we weren't seeing anymore. So we definitely got our surface taken care of by using the internal cure.
So over the last, say, year that you've been adopting this technology in your mixes, this market is so challenging, right? It's sometimes it's a race to the bottom. It's a commodity driven, the contracting and finishing. Do you feel like adopting this product, maybe changing some of your methodologies and practices in the field, has that differentiated your company that is visible to maybe some of the GCs and people you work with, say, they're doing something different? Or is it just a testament to, the longevity of the company? Which one is it, do you think?
I think it's both. I think both are true. Longevity of the company, our pride in our work, that is what internally makes us feel really good, is we know we're giving a good product and we don't have to go back and fix it, because nobody likes to fix it. Even if something's not your fault, you go back and do tear out, people notice. It doesn't give you a good reputation. So we want to put on a product that's going to stay there. And some GCs have noticed. I mean, there's some of them that say, even if they don't know about the product or what it does, they look at a company that's coming and say, I have this, it's a solution, it's going to help. Whether they use it or not, they look at you like this person's trying to give us a good product. They're coming to us with information. They want to give us something better. And in some cases, we're paying the bill. I'm not asking them to pay me extra to use this additive. So much so that some companies even now are just contracting us to use it in their jobs. So we have every estimate we send out, we send it as an alternate. If it's not on the specs, it's an alternate on our bid, and we send the information with our bid. So the GC, the owner engineer, has it right in front of them, and they can say, hey, what's this? Or they can ask questions and we can answer. And recently we've gotten 3 or 4 contracts back that just have it in the contract. No question asked. They didn't call us and ask about the product. They just said, we took the alternate, it's in the contract.
Wow.
Go ahead and use it. So it's
so the trusting.
It's helping with GCs trusting us and just knowing that we care about our product is really where I think
not
the
just doing the status quo. Like, we want to raise the bar here, and this is how we can do it if you choose to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we did a warehouse for Opus Construction last year, and we did not get the warehouse before that. We were doing all the site work around it for a different GC. I drove through that job, and they had a lot of scaling issues inside there. And I didn't pour, I wasn't around there, so I don't know why it scaled, but there was an issue, right? There was a lot. It wasn't just one stone. They had whole docks. I mean, a lot. And so when we went to the pre-con with Opus, I just told them, like, hey, I know you had problems on this last job. It was the same team. Why don't you guys take the internal cure? And that day they sent me a change order. They paid for it, and they took it just to say, we got to do something too. So
how long ago was that one?
That was just last year.
Just last year?
Yeah, we just finished up in the summer. So
Okay.
they're no questions asked. They said, let's do it. They know they need to try something too. And whether they thought that was mix, the sub they hired, the conditions, whatever it was,
Right.
they said there definitely is an issue and they want to try and fix it too. So we're getting some buy-in from people that are saying, let's do it.
Now, another question I ask you, I know you don't use Brandon on every project. You use other ready mix producers because not all projects are in locations you can use everybody.
Yes.
And before we started the podcast, I asked you what your reach was, and you said a little bit into Wyoming. My question is, when you introduce this to a new ready mix producer, what's some of the difficulties with them? Are you getting it in when you want to use their, what's some of the difficulties? Pushbacks you get from those ready mix producers?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of pushback. We started with Brandon using it. They obviously brought it to the market, and we're a big supporter. I think they still understand it the best. They're a very good partner of ours.
Yep.
And for us, I mean, we pour when it's nice out anywhere from 700 to 1,200 yards every single day.
Nice.
So we're putting down a good quantity of concrete. And when we decided we're going to go with it on our jobs, I just called the different suppliers and told them, I'm using it, so you want this job, you're gonna have it.
Yeah, that leverage. We talk about that all the time.
And
Contractors do have leverage.
And they, a couple of them, I mean, one of them was a little cold feet with it. I mean, they didn't want to install the systems. They did a temporary one. I think they were using buckets for a little while until they started realizing, hey, they're going to order more than just this little bit, so we better get it installed. And they started selling it to a few other contractors as well, which helps with their volume. But for me, I didn't have a whole lot of pushback because I just told them, hey, we're using it, so get it or don't bring me the concrete.
Yeah. That's what you guys did earlier on too, with your own construction company.
Correct. We're going to use it, and if you don't, we'll
got
find
the
someone that will.
Yeah.
I think a lot of contractors don't understand the voice they have. Obviously, you know your voice in the industry, and you know your voice from how you grew up and the company has had success. I didn't really know my voice until late in my career. And once I learned my voice, it was like, okay, this is nice that someone actually will listen to what my needs are. It was my ready mix partner, Shelby Materials, that actually showed me that, hey, partnerships work. Ready mix companies need to be your partner, not your enemy. Some of the ready mix producers nowadays think that you need them, and that mindset's very damaging to our industry. It should be collaborative, and that's all I've been trying to do for this whole thing as I got started. I didn't wake up one day and say, well, I'm going to be an admixture company. I'm just going to stop finishing.
Spark this thing
what I
from
want to
it.
do. Absolutely. No, my pain points were I was never getting the answers. Chasing the knowledge to help me in the field, give a good product so that at the end of the day, whoever I was delivering the product to could enjoy it. Didn't have to worry about maintenance it, replacing it, this or that. But when you don't have that partnership on the side from the ready mix producer, it makes it awful hard as a contractor. And it sounds like you're in a blessed area to have partners,
Good people.
Yeah.
that are willing to work with you. And I wish the industry would listen to that. Ready mix producers, listen, partnerships, work with us, contractors.
I've had to put a lot of effort into it too. I mean, it's not just they came to me and said, we're going to be a partner. And it's not always about dictating to them that we have to do something. In this case, it was, but I spend a lot of time working on those relationships with our salesmen, knowing their operations team, and putting that work. I mean, I drive an hour to work and home from work every day. When I'm sitting there driving, I get on the phone. It doesn't matter if I think I need to call someone or if I actually need to call someone. I find someone to call, and a lot of times it's concrete salesmen, and just talk to them like, hey, this job's coming up, or what can we do here? What's this? And really putting in that work with your supplier is a big part of having them partner with you, is know them personally.
Nice, that's it.
Their relationship.
Get dinner with them, go to a hockey game. Those are, I mean, they're fun things, but they're also partnerships. You got to work on that relationship.
Yeah.
And
I'd say let's talk about a little sensitive topic, probably pricing, right? So you obviously have a handful of producers that you work with. Do you find that whether it's E5 or some other kind of unique product that you want to use in your mix, do you find pricing to be kind of all over the board? Do they kind of follow your lead when you ask for these sort of unique products?
yeah, no, all the pricing in the Denver market for us. I can't speak to what they charge other people because I don't know if they charge them differently or not, but they're all in line with each other.
Okay, good.
All their suppliers, they charge about the same. I mean, there's a couple pennies here and there, but
Right.
it's
Not
negligible.
astronomical
Yeah,
changes.
so they're on board. And honestly, we've been looking for ways to always improve our concrete. So years ago, there's another company that came in, and we were like, this looks great too. It was a different type of admixture. And so we tried it, and we're like, yeah, that works. That's good. And they gave me the price, and I was like, man, I can't put this in my concrete unless I'm gonna get a change order for it, and I can't go sell your product all day long. So
For that price.
the price of that was, I mean, I'd be out of business if I put in all my stuff and didn't get a change order for it.
Right.
So that's where this product came in, and like I said, the worst thing it does is nothing, and we wasted a little bit of money because it's so affordable.
I like to hear you say that because, you know, in a lot of areas of the country, not a lot, but in some areas of the country, the ready mix producers are we're at their mercy, you know, and they're in charge. It's their truck, it's their plant. We understand all that, and we respect that. But a lot of times when you're trying to bring something like this that helps in every yard of concrete, the big barricade is the guy that, you know, is producing the concrete and is just going to charge astronomical amounts of money to put it in. And I mean, I get it. They're in charge. They can do the things they want. But if ultimately this helps, when you say pour curbs faster, pour out trucks faster, I mean, shouldn't everybody be wanting to raise the bar?
I would think so, yes. Yeah. And that's where we're at their mercy a little bit too. I mean, luckily in our market, they're not marking it up astronomically. They have a markup, of course. We expect that. They're providing service, they're storing it, adding it to the truck. Yeah. And we're also the mercy because I can't just go buy it and then put it in our truck when it gets there. I mean, I can. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But
you'd have
I am responsible for that load. Once I have some of that load, it's mine. Doesn't matter if the testing pass or anything, it's going to be mine. So we are at their mercy to an extent, and luckily in our market, they're very adapted to this product and pricing structure for it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like your market is would be a good market to work in.
Collaborative,
yes.
You know,
it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
No, we have struggles. I mean, there's, I want everyone to pour good concrete, whether it's my crews or someone else's. It's honestly a big goal of mine. I just started getting more involved with our local ACI chapter, and I've preached on and on that we need more education for finishers and ready mix producers to work together. Amen. Because we all want the same goal, and I see way too many people doing things wrong, and some of them will say it's lazy, right? Yeah. They're doing it wrong because they're lazy. But a lot of people doing concrete wrong is they're not educated. They don't know they're doing it wrong. There's certain tools you can or can't use based on what mixture you're using. There's different weather aspects we look for. I mean, with the 1L switch, we even bought these Kestrel meters now, which have the ACI evaporation rate built into them. Nice. So you set it up on the job, and it tells you the evaporation rate for your job. For the sole purpose of our window is so short, we need to make sure we know what our evaporation rate is on jobs. So that goes on every pour. Nice. It gets turned in a day with what it was. I have that record forever, so we know the day we poured it, where we poured at, and what the conditions were. And those are just little things that a lot of people don't have or don't think about that can end up being the reason why you have bad concrete or bad finishing practices. And I really want the industry as a whole, especially in Colorado where I live, to do concrete the right way. When they do concrete the right way, it makes my job easier too, because we all get a bad name. We're all lumped together no matter what. So if everyone does concrete good, it makes all of our lives a lot easier.
You mentioned ACI, some other associations that I'm sure your company's a part of. Do you find that there's a good communication line between all layers within the industry, architects, engineers, contractors, GCs? I mean, do you feel like everyone's kind of talking about these material changes that are happening or have happened?
I'll say it's gotten much better in the last year and a half. At our local ACI, at least we're pretty lucky. We have monthly meetings, and there's 50 to 65 people that show up, a good blend of finishers, engineers, ready mix producers, cement producers, local city governments. They show up sometimes, some GCs. So we have a good mix. And I think the one good thing that came out of the 1L cement was that our communication has improved. everyone realized we need better communication.
The silver lining.
Maybe there's a good,
Locally, it's definitely gone better for us with everyone communicating. If there are changes, what might be happening. We've had a few topics on changes. We have a really good speaker that's part of our ACI local that just did one last month on specifications. So it's really grown into more education for people doing the work and less let's figure out how to plug in a GWP number to make a mix work, which doesn't apply to 90% of us sitting at this luncheon right now. The engineers love that, right? Don't get me wrong, so it's useful, but we've geared it more to where we have more say and more communication on what's going on in our local industry.
Interesting.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I've got a question. For other folks that are thinking about adopting technologies like this and like any other, technology that might help in these challenges, what advice would you have to kind of look outside the box? We, at lunch today, we were talking about engineers, right? And how they were, stripping water out because they didn't want the moisture migration for, adhesives. What's some advice that you might give based on your experience to say, hey, it's okay to look at other technologies, other things that might help you?
Yeah,
Don't be averse.
Same thing if you're still having a car phone in your truck. We all have cell phones, right? We all tried something at one point. So in your professional stance, if you're a contractor, you should be looking for new ways to do your work as well.
Yeah.
And my advice would mostly be research what you want to do, what kind of work you do, and what will help you, won't help you, and then try it. I think our approach was we kind of went into it slow, which that's the way we took it. And I would recommend maybe a similar approach. They don't have to wait as long, so I think it's been around a little longer. But if it's new to market or new to your supplier, I definitely would say no matter what the technology is, E5, whatever you're trying to do, try it. Just give it a try, see what it does, and do your own research into it. Don't just shake a salesman's hand and say, we're going to do it.
That's been your mantra. Educate yourself.
Give it a try. Yeah. You got to try it. And if it works for you, then do it. If it doesn't, then figure something else out.
I've said it on enough videos. This little box right here that I hold and carry around has a lot of knowledge in it now. We got Google, we got AI, even though AI ain't right on everything, but we do have tools now to educate ourselves on a lot of things, and I don't think we utilize that. Back when I was concrete finishing, the only advice I ever got was from a stringent father that was union raised, and this is just the way we did it. And then that mentality transferred until, I got my first phone. Yeah, I'm like, oh, well, ain't this interesting? The world at hand. And he's dead set. He was dead set against technology. He was anti-technology, actually. My dad did not like change. I was more change, and I wanted to change. Like I said, we have the tools. We can research these things, and finishers need to take this advice from you. Educate yourself, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah,
because you're going to fail. You can't learn anything without
and try things. Yeah,
you might try it once, it might not work, but don't throw the baby out of the bath yet. It means you just found one way it didn't work. There might be 999 other ways it will work. You just got to continue figuring it out. Once you do, then you will find that path. Yeah. I didn't just jump out of the one day and E5 worked and it was perfect. I found 1,000 ways it didn't work, and then I found the one way it did work, and just kept it going. Thing. So, people like you, we need more of in the industry, and I think partnerships that you have, partnerships we're trying to create, is the only way we're going to shift this industry into the right direction. So I'm kudos to you, man, for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're trying. Like I said, try it, but make sure you're staying within specs. ACI is a great resource for the way you should pour concrete, what's in the concrete. They take a lot of time to approve things. So I know they're working on nanosilica codes right now. It'll probably take another year, 2 years even, because
longer. Yeah,
it's, they vet it. So if they say this is the code to follow, it's not saying they're not going to change in 2 years, but definitely practice best practices all the time when pouring concrete. But don't be afraid to try something that's going to make your concrete better even. You can exceed the code. You don't have to just meet the code. You can exceed.
Correct.
That's the minimum. That's the low bar.
I mean, it's the ACI is a methodology guideline book. Follow the guidelines. Sometimes the guidelines, things outgrow because technology outgrows them. I think that's one thing about my industry. I'm a little aggravated. They don't move fast enough to kind of keep up with the times. Like, we're on this guideline, but that guideline needs to move a little bit. And I think some of the, like, I'm on one of the ACI committees, 241. I'm on the 308, non-voting member. But when I look at that, it's like, hey, you guys are still talking about 1943 in your book.
Yeah.
Like, that is not even the
Technology
same
changes so fast. And unfortunately, yes, these boards and committees, they are sat on by, some commercial folks. And a lot of times those folks don't want to change very fast. And I think technology changes faster than committees and boards can. So there's a little bit of that. So yes, to your point, that's the minimum bar that we have to reach, but don't be afraid to look outside of some of those boxes.
Just taking your testimony on how you approached it, took it slow, and how it's working, I look at that and go, man, that thrills my heart. Because I look at his crews are more efficient. They get to go home. They're not as tired, wore out. They're not as frustrated.
There's pride in the work.
At the end of the day, I tried to create something for the finishers. You're just one of many. I'm just one of many. I'm mad because sometimes the industry holds things up like this, that 1,000 more people need this, and they're struggling to make ends meet because they don't know what to do, or they don't have the help, or they might just be a company that's only 5 guys. They're the ones that are struggling. They need certain technologies to, like, hey, you guys need to quit holding up progress. These guys need it. They're the lifeline.
Look at the Facebook forums that we peruse on the daily. Look at, 1lcementproblems.com. There is so many things out there that, have listed these companies. I mean, you just feel for them. They're pulling out 100, 200 driveways, and they don't know what to do.
Yep. I might be speaking out of turn, but you can edit this, Ben, if you need to. Would you be open to people contacting you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
talk
about how they want to finish it. I have a neighbor down the street. He owns a small company. He does a lot of driveways. He's getting into some commercial now, and he's very technical. So he's not the normal five guy company type of owner. He actually cares a lot about his technicals and his finishing. So he's a little different, but we talk, and I got him into using some internal cure now in jobs and some miracle aids. So, and he's enjoying it. Not that he needed my help, but he's, I enjoy talking about concrete. So if there's someone else out there, like I said, I want everyone to do good concrete. So if they want to call me or email me and ask about stuff, I'm more than willing. If we get 1,000 people calling me, I might have to take a little time to call you back. But
they need to hire somebody, but an admin.
But yeah, no, I'm happy to talk to people. I talk to people in our market about it, about everything we do. And I mean, finishing concrete is not a secret. I don't have a trade secret to hide. I just think we do it better because of the processes we follow, not necessarily finishing concrete. So that's really our advantage. But as far as doing good concrete, I'm happy to talk to really anyone.
So you've been in business for, you said 60 years?
65 this
65
year.
years. Yes. So do you see, obviously you won't be around for the next 65 years, but where do you see the company going in the next?
That's not a very good thing.
Well, I mean,
he might live to be 100.
That's true. He might.
Yeah.
Where do you see the company in the next 65 years going?
I hope we keep the same trajectory. I mean, some growth would be nice, but at the same time, we have a good spot. I mean, we have a good family company. My whole family works there. We have our arguments, it's fine, but I would like to continue the next generation. I mean, I have nieces and nephews.
Nice. Coming up in the business?
Well, they're too young. They're way too young still.
Okay.
But
5 years from now, man, you already got him in the grade.
Yeah.
I mean, we are concrete finishers, right? They don't last very long.
But I mean, it would be cool to see them if they want to jump in and keep it going. I think it's very cool locally. People in the construction industry know our name, and I think they respect my grandfather, people that knew him, and my grandma. I mean, she passed 3 years ago. 4 years. Yeah, 4 years ago now. Jeez. And people knew her. I mean, it's really cool to see that. So I just hope that in 65 years, maybe someone in Colorado will come up to, my nephew or my great nephew, whoever that is, and say, hey, I worked with Bryce, or yeah, he knew what he was doing. He tried here and got this business through something. So
nice.
my dad's getting older now too, so there's people like that come and say, hey, worked with Don and had a good experience. So
Right.
I guess I hope we're in business. I hope someone's talking that I did something
Yeah,
good
good
to the
reputation, good
business.
experience.
Leave a little bit of a legacy back a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
For our final thing,
Yes.
so Bryce got a reward here a couple weeks ago.
One of many companies that turn in batch tickets left and right.
And thank you for doing
Which
that.
is
'cause we like to
amazing.
give stuff away.
It's so cool to see. We have a rewards program, by the way. If you're listening and you're not signed up for it, please do. These guys obviously are pouring with E5 every day, turning batch tickets in, getting yardage points is what we call, and then you turn them in, or somebody turned them in with your company. And just a week or two ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we got a walk behind power trial.
Yeah.
Put it to use a couple times already. Last week, we poured a floor for Inglewood in our city south of Denver, new service center, and used it around the whole edges. It was
Good.
great. Yeah, we got rewarded for just doing better concrete.
Yes.
It was pretty
that's been my
pretty
whole
messed up game here.
Right. You get rewards.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those, I kind of get this idea because it was a family dispute when I was with my dad and we were talking. My dad was like, let everybody buy their own stuff, buy their tools, buy their hammers and all that. And I was like, let me buy all their stuff. I want to buy their tools. I want to buy their hand floats, trowels, knee bore. I want to buy all that. And he's like, you know how much money that costs you? No. I said, you know how hard it is to come back from a bad product? Your name?
Bad finish.
At least with the ability for me to control the tools that they have, I can give them something to work with. When I look down and see a guy's float that looks like it's been through a grinder, it's not making my surface of the concrete any better.
Yeah.
I said, Dad, just watch. I'm telling you, it'll pan out. Well, we had that disagreement for months. And finally, I just started buying stuff on my own dime. And then he figured out I was doing that. And then we hit a little hard switch. But I bought all my finishers, all their stuff, because at the end of the day, I wanted them to have the best possibility to succeed. So when I started thinking about E5, I thought, how can I reward the finishers for doing something right, in my opinion? But it was doing concrete to the best of their ability, giving them a product to do with, and how can I reward them? Well, why not give them this?
Yeah.
For every yard you pour, we're going to get you this. We're going to do this. Why? Because you deserve the best. Because you guys do work hard. So the rewards program is not fake. It is true.
Yes, very true. I have a trowel.
He got his 48-inch trowel. Now, you can collect those points, and we've got it all spelled out. We are now even working on Bobcats.
Yes.
And everything is totally outfitted with an autism logo. And that's,
Shout out to
watch
Getting
the
Hope.
first episode, you'll know why we started, and that was because of autism. So thank you, Bryce, for everything you've contributed to E5 and the autism community.
In the concrete industry. as
And
a
the
whole.
concrete industry. Keep up the great
Appreciate
work,
you.
man. It is
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you. Pleasure to be on the team.
Thanks
So,
for coming.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming.
for having me. It's a great time.
Good luck for the next 65
Before we
years.
finish,
Thank
I
you.
toured your shop yesterday, and I'm impressed. I mean, the testing you guys are doing and the effort that's going out there is, you're not just here throwing out something saying use this. There's testing going on every day. I knew that, and when I saw it, I was thoroughly impressed. Yes, I mean, there's tests going on that I don't even know what they're doing, to be honest. So I know I'm just a concrete placing guy that tries to dabble in the science, but I'm nowhere near know
We
what you guys
try
are
to
doing.
go over and above because, being from that world, I didn't understand the testing world and as much as I do now. But if I would have had some of that information beforehand, I could have organized things a little different in the field to even make things even more successful. Yeah. I just want to give that back to each person. And y'all going to know I get excited about my mixer. I love my mixer.
You do.
It's like
It's your
one
baby.
of two in the country, and it's a smart mixer. It tells me a lot of information, but it's a scaled down mixer of what an actual plant is. So I look at that and think, if I can make a mix for someone and I can have it down to that detail and I can hand that to that finisher, it's like, look, man, this is what you should see, predictability, this is everything. So
Helps them.
I take pride in that because I can deliver the full package to you guys in the field.
Yeah.
And I can even mimic wind and evaporation rates in my lab. Like I literally have things to do that. I just
And you do miss finishing, so you're out there finishing
do finish.
quite a bit of concrete.
I don't forget my finishing at all. Again, Bryce, thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you guys.
Hey, Joel.
Appreciate you. Yes, it's been a pleasure.
As always.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank
Until
you
next
to
time.
all our fans and audience out there. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you.